Well, good evening. We have made it to the final hour. April Marie here, filling in for Leland today and for the rest of this week. AJ over here, keeping me out of trouble, and in some cases, getting me in trouble. I was talking earlier. What started our whole Hallmark movie extravaganza was a text chain I'm on. I'm looking over there. AJ's over there smiling as he texts. He's getting his own Hallmark plots. That's what I'm going to just assume over here. On the line, we've got Jimmy the Greek. Hi, Jimmy. What's up?
Hey, first off, on the Hallmark line, I'm also known as the most interesting man in the world. So
Oh, good to
I think
know.
you're gonna have to uh, come out to impress me a little bit more. I'm not sure how you're going to be able to do that, given that my image is on Superman's pajamas. But you can try. You know,
Okay.
you got a little more to do though before I'm gonna bite into that one. On another note, I totally agree on education. With I've got a grandson. I'm up here in North Carolina right now, and I've got a grandson up here, and we're in Western North Carolina, outside the Asheville area, in that whatever metropolitan area, and we're going to just send him through private education slash homeschooling for as long as we can, and figure out how to you know keep him from being exposed to some of the stuff you've been talking about, because it is dangerous. In social media, he's not going to get access to that anytime soon. So we're good on that account. But changing the subject, I want to go back to Alabama politics. Um, I want to know your opinion on Jared Hudson. That's who I back. And I know I was not thrilled that Trump and Vance did not back him. I think that he would not be a rubber stamp. If you want a rubber stamp, that's what J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are looking for. I don't want a rubber stamp. I want somebody who's got some backbone and tells it like it is. And if you look at Jared Hudson, he will he will fall in line if it's the right thing to do. I have no doubt about it. I want to get you to do some due diligence and get Jeff Ford to do some due diligence before 1819 News decides to back the wrong horse. I feel really passionate about this, and I want to get your opinion after you do some research on it.
All right, Jimmy, I appreciate the call. I'll tell you this for those who don't know, 1819 News is a 501c3. So we don't do endorsements. They won't even let me endorse. There are some boneheaded candidates running for office. There are at least two candidates I wish I could sit here in front of this mic and rail against because I could and I would, but 1819 won't let me. I have never had I've never not been able to do this. It happened during the municipal elections, too, where there were candidates where I was like, "They're lying to you," but I couldn't really get involved because at 1819, there are very strict rules. So you'll hear us talk a little bit about, just informationally. I will tell you this: I've met Jared Hudson. I've interviewed Jared Hudson. I believe I've interviewed him here, even here on 99.5. Funny Jared Hudson story is that I was coming back from Montgomery the last time I went to Montgomery for 1819, and I stopped at a Firehouse Subs. There's an exit right outside of Montgomery where there's a Firehouse Subs right next to a Starbucks, which is like perfect. That's my combo right there. So I stopped. I ordered a sub, and then I went over to get my coffee, and I sit down. I order my coffee, sit down, and look over, and there's Jared Hudson. So I got to have a conversation with him that day, and I think the world of him. I think he's a really great guy. Uh, for what it's worth, y'all could probably tell if y'all were to call me and ask me about candidates, you'd probably be able to tell a little bit. But I think Jared Hudson's a great guy. Had a great conversation with him. Some dear friends of mine are supporting him, and I really do think that what he has done with his military service and his nonprofit is, I mean, it's beyond. It's incredible. It's a great service to our country, of course, and what he has done with his nonprofit is just it. Well, first off, I went with with Leland and Jessica as their guest to a Covenant Rescue event. I actually bought a ball cap and went to one of their events. It was my first time seeing Jared Hudson speak. It was my first time getting to hear what they did. It has forever changed my life. Just listening to the speakers that night talk about the horrors that are happening and the predators, the people who are preying on our kids for human trafficking. I, I am very passionate, and I will talk a lot. I do this a lot on X, but I'll say it here too. There are a lot of people who have spent a lot of time, right here in Alabama, probably within the listening audience, going painstakingly through the Epstein files. That is, if that is your thing and you want to do that, do that. If you want to get involved in human trafficking and supporting people who are stopping it and supporting the victims and getting the word out in our community of how you identify individuals, that I would much rather you do 100 times over. If you are finding yourself spending your nights, spending hours and hours and hours down these rabbit holes of Epstein files, I want you to know there are probably tens of thousands of other people doing it too. What we need tens of thousands of people doing is getting involved in their communities and their home states and making a difference. If for every minute somebody who's spent in a echo chamber of Epstein documents and Epstein circles, if they were out helping the Covenant Rescues of the world, the First Light domestic violence shelters of the world, helping educate people who work in hotels and schools and hospitals on what human trafficking looks like, educating families and parents on what predators look like, talking about internet safety, all of the things, then we would have a much safer country, then we would have much safer communities, then we would have some of these dirt bags off the street. But instead, we have so much energy going to this one case. And that's not to say it's not an important case. That's not to say the victims, I don't want to diminish any of that whatsoever. But what I want to say is we each in our own capacity have the ability to determine how we spend our time, our resources, our brain width, our all of those things are, and I really wish for every person who spends their days in this deep into these Epstein files, and they think they're going to read all 3 million documents, redacted emails, this, that, the other, chase them down on the internet. Take that energy and look at what Jared Hudson and his organization is doing. Look at the organizations they work with who are helping actual victims of human trafficked women and children and help them get back on their feet. This is something I am incredibly passionate about. I have spoken at length about it in Mobile. I probably haven't spent as much time here on 99.5 talking about it. But I promise you, there is not a likelihood, it's very unlikely, that you are going to be the person that finds the thing in the Epstein file that 5 million people haven't already found. What I want you to do is be the person who prevents human trafficking from happening right here in Alabama. And it is happening. If you go and you look at what Covenant Rescue Group and our law enforcement agencies all around the state have done in these stings, it is happening in our backyards. Young girls, young boys online being predators searching up and trying to find them and trying to trick them out of coming into their houses. Hotel workers who are watching human trafficked women come in and out of their hotels and they don't recognize it. We can all make a difference in that way. We can all make a difference here. Jared Hudson has made that difference. And this isn't a pitch for his U.S. Senate campaign. This is a pitch to do what he and people like him are doing because it does make a difference. It does. All right. 205-545-9950. Leland and Jessica were kind enough to take me as their guest to a Covenant Rescue event. I listened to the statistics of children who have been victimized, of teenagers and young women who have been victimized. I told y'all earlier on 1819 News last night, I'd gotten a tip of this arrest in Pickens County. It was a 4th grade teacher being charged with child pornography charges. And then I look and there's 3 more teachers, 4 teachers with these horrific charges. This isn't an abstract. We can look at the Epstein files all day and we can't solve that. What we can solve is figuring out what's happening in our backyard. All right, I'm going to take a break. When I come back, I might get into some more of what's happening in Montgomery because I love to do it. You guys, the phone lines are open. I have accidentally closed my YouTube, but that I'll open back up in just a minute if you want to talk to me on that. And then, of course, on X, APRYLMARIE. Back in a second. Well, good evening. April Marie here, filling in for Leland today and every day for the rest of this week. Gonna continue covering some national topics and some local ones. I was just talking about Jared Hudson. Yes, I have spoken to him. Yes, I think the work he has done is incredible. No, I don't get to have an opinion, not one I can publicly state anyway, on any of these races, which, by the way, it's frustrating, but it's understandable. Um, I was talking just now about the human trafficking happening, and it's happening in our backyards. It's happening in if you're in Pickens County, there is predatory behavior allegedly happening there. Of course, all of these people we're talking about in terms of those four teachers are innocent until proven guilty. Um, but these are things that are happening. If you look at any Covenant Rescue operation here in the state of Alabama, they will consistently have, 5 to 10 men who think they're talking to and about to have a sexual encounter with a child. And there's a lot happening. Tom Homan, who is the border czar, one of my favorite people of the Trump administration. I'm going to say that again. One of my favorite people in the Trump administration uh, was speaking at a lawyers' conference today. I'm going to read you what he said. He said, We found one. Now, he's talking about unaccompanied minors and minors in our country. We found one 2 days ago, a 14-year-old little girl living with two adult males. We found her. She's pregnant from trafficking, forced into prostitution, 14 years old. We're taking care of her, both physically and mentally. I have very, very, very strong feelings about all of the time being spent on the Epstein files. And my strong feelings don't come from a place of, oh, we need to ignore that. My feelings come from a place of we need to redirect our energy and in a way that's helpful and useful. If you are spending hours and hours and days and months days roll into weeks and into months and into years, I want you to take that energy and I want you to put it towards what you can do for current victims, for prevention, for recognizing and finding and all of the things. Because there's human trafficking happening around us. There is human trafficking that can be avoided if we are doing the right things. There are victims who need support right now, and that's what I want us to focus on. All right, I'm going to the phone lines. Tom on the line from Madison. Hi, Tom.
Ditto everything you said.
Thank you.
And I also I donate to Jared Hudson and the Covenant Rescue. And I have a ball cap. I got the one with the Trident, the black one.
Oh, yeah.
It don't have any words on it. And I work at the Corps of Engineers, and I go out on arsenals, and I wear that cap. And nobody's asked me about that. They're like almost scared. I don't know, maybe
Oh, wow.
because they think I'm a special ops guy. But I do it to see if people, when they do ask, it's Covenant Rescue.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm looking at it. That's a nice hat. You have the one.
It is.
Yeah,
Nice black one.
The black
and,
one.
and
Yep.
Got a warrant officer who works for me, and he said that's made by the same company. He wears caps all the time, and he said that's a good cap too. And I mean, so that said, I want Jared to truly pray to the Lord that he is doing the right thing by trying to run for the office. I mean, it's a great thought to want to run for an office and get in that muck in Washington. But, oh, my God, he's doing so much good. And I'm sure he's got probably people that can take up his mantle and run it fine. But, my God, that what he's doing is so much more, in my opinion. And I may vote for him. But my goodness,
the work he is doing is so
way,
necessary.
Thank you. And one vote in that cesspool up there, I don't know. He can't move. I mean, people like Mitch McConnell and all the people up there, they'll water down his efforts.
Well, that's what happened to Tommy Tuberville. Tommy Tuberville got to D.C. bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, thinking he was going to get to do things. And when he put those hold on those defense contracts to end abortion on our bases, he realized how swampity swamp it was. And even Republicans who claimed to agree with him and ran on these principles stabbed him in the back. And I think Tommy Tuberville was like, he just had enough. And I tell people this all the time. Why people say, well, why does he want to be governor? And I say, he hates D.C. because he sees it for what it is.
Do something where you can do something. And because you're going to be wasting a lot, splashing around, not getting any traction.
Well, I'll tell you this. I have talked to I've talked to Jared's supporters about this, and he feels that the Lord has led him into this race, and that is where his heart is. He said he has prayed on this, and that's what he's going to do. He's going to see this all the way through. And here's the thing about candidates, especially in crowded races and crowded fields. sometimes there is a blessing in losing. Sometimes there is a blessing in being a first time candidate. Now, of course, that's not to say he will lose, but to say
No,
here
no.
we are talking about Jared Hudson and human trafficking and his efforts in Alabama, and that's happening all over the state. Covenant Rescue has gotten has been
They
promoted.
work in other states too.
Yes.
I mean, yep.
And
Go
so,
ahead.
but everywhere he goes in the state to talk about his candidacy for U.S. Senate, he's also bringing a light to the human trafficking struggles and the reality of what we live in. As I said, I went to an event and I had no idea what they were doing, even, and like you said, nationally, but here in the state, they had a operation in Leeds recently. They've had operations all
No.
around the
North Alabama.
North Alabama.
They've gotten a bunch. Yes.
And so I think, again, he's one of those candidates where win or lose, him running, he feels like that is a calling, and I applaud anybody who feels that calling. And
Thank you. And you
do it.
just said it. If it's his calling and the Lord puts it on him, then I'll he's my man.
Yep.
But I just think, I mean, of course, I don't have God's eye on everything, and if he feels moved to do that with all of what he's done, let's pray that Godspeed to him.
All right.
But my goodness, all right. Well,
No,
I'll
thank
hang
you.
up. But we're co souls in this whole thing, and I just don't want his efforts to be wasted up there.
Well,
But
I appreciate that. Thanks
God
for
bless.
calling,
Bye.
Tom. All right. April Marie here. By the way, and I didn't mention this while Tom was on the air, I've got the website open, but I've got the Crush Evil hat. And so they're different hats for Covenant Rescue Group that supports their ability to get out. I've got the camouflage one. I'm a ball cap person. I have an obscene amount of ball caps. As a matter of fact, it's my I collect two things. I collect ball caps. So I've got a ball cap from nearly everywhere that I visit, that I go to and enjoy. And then I've got and then for whatever reason, every state I go to, I get the Starbucks mugs. So I have a whole cabinet of Starbucks mugs, which is very entertaining to me because I had a lady from church come over and I was offering her tea. And I do have a couple normal teacups, but I have this cupboard full of Starbucks glasses. All right. We have talked, let's see, we've talked education. If you missed it earlier today, Alabama ranked number 12 in the country, but I think we got robbed. I think we should be higher because they got the wrong information on our homeschool score. I didn't just leave it at that. I'm now trying to get them to move the score. They may not this year. Maybe next year we end up with the big jump because they use the correct information. When we come back, I'll get into, unless you guys call and throw me off again, we'll get back into what's happening in Montgomery. Hold tight. April Marie here for Leland. All right, he found one. I would try to wink for you, but I'm terrible at winking. It's a whole thing. I can try to. No, it's terrible. Those of you watching the
It looks like
YouTube,
you had something in your eye.
yeah, and by
You
I
need
can
to get some eye drops.
and I can only wink one eye too. Oh, can you do both? Oh, that's impressive. AJ can do both. He did it without his camera on, so y'all can't see it. But AJ can do both. Wink both eyes. I'm incapable. My kids think it's hysterical because I have zero like control. I can obviously open and close my eyes, but if I can't in any way, shape, or form make my left eye wink. That's so weird. AJ's they're blinking like crazy. Winking and blinking. All right. April Marie here, filling in for Leland. A couple of things. We have in talking. We transitioned a little bit. Somebody called in about Jared Hudson. Phone lines remain open for the next 30 minutes before breaking bread. Which I always want to say Breaking Bad, and I feel like everybody wants to do that. I've never even seen the show. One in my inbox this afternoon, Attorney General Steve Marshall leads 24 states urging permanent halt to Medicare and Medicaid funding for child sex change procedures. What the hot holy heck is happening? That's a thing. What have we done as a nation when you have to get 24 states attorneys generals, which by the way is the weirdest plural ever, to sign a letter to say we shouldn't have it? I told y'all my liberal friend was here this weekend. Love her, love her. She's like a sister to me. But we got into this whether or not doctors should be charged with medical malpractice if they do surgeries or offer puberty blockers across sex hormones to kids. And I believe the answer is yes. There are no other circumstances in which somebody can be a doctor, an MD, and poison the body of the patient they're supposed to be treating and get away with it. And that's what they're doing. Oh, the parents gave them permission. So what? Oh, it's what the 8 to 10-year-old wanted. So what? Okay, a 15, 16, 17-year-old girl wanted her breasts cut off, and he did it. But that's what she wanted, so what? No, it's abusive. It's medical malpractice. It's ridiculous. If you were to tune in on the camera, I'm wearing my woman shirt today. It's a part of the line that promotes women's sports being just women's sports. I get these emails. I see these things online and I go, why? How did we get here? Why did the left, why did we as sane people ever allow the left to do the slow creep to where this is something that has to be said and, God forbid, argued? God made each and every one of us perfect the way we are. Even with our imperfections, whatever it is, a disability, an illness, or whatever, we are perfect in God's image, and no child is or ever has been put in the wrong body. Good on Steve Marshall. People will ask me about the different candidates, and I'll give you my opinions all day on some of the best things, the pros and the cons and the this and the that. Steve Marshall has led the way, not just in our state, but across the nation in protecting our kids. And the fact that they need to be protected from this, again, insane. I wholeheartedly feel in 10, 20 years from now, if it takes us that long as a country to turn around and reconcile what we allowed to happen, we're going to go back and we're going to say, this is among the greatest atrocities. This is among the worst things our country did. We can look back and we can say, slavery, wrong. One day we're going to look back and we're going to say, poisoning, butchering kids, wrong. Unequivocally, no ifs, ands, or buts. And the federal government paying for it? Absolutely not. I'm so glad that we have this administration. I was never a never Trumper, but I was always like is that the best? Is he the best? He's the best. I look at this second term and everything Trump has done. has been what we need. Can argue with me about ICE. Oh, well, look at what ICE has done. No, look at what leftists who have villainized ICE have done. Look at what teachers who are in their classrooms indoctrinating their kids into hating law enforcement and believing these illegals need to be rescued have done. Look at what these leftist women out there harassing and targeting and sometimes assaulting law enforcement officers. Look what they have done. The Trump administration is trying to keep our nation safe. Day after day, you look. I read to you what Tom Homan wrote just a little while ago. 14-year-old girl, pregnant, human trafficked. This is the agency that the left tells us we need to vilify. It's wrong. It's insane. All right, I am phone line starting to go. I can do this all day. It's a whole thing. All right, Linda. Hi, Linda Lou.
Ooh, I want to tell you something. I love you to death. I love you, April Marie. But the problem is that I love Leland Live, and I live in Louisiana. And I love the fact that you love Alabama or whatever, but you spend 3 hours on Alabama law.
That's
and then
fair.
1 hour maybe national.
On national
You know,
stuff.
Leland used to spend 3 hours national and 1 hour on Alabama.
Okay, fair enough, Linda Lou. It really just depends on what's going on that day. For the record, though, the school choice conversation, that's nationally. Nationally, we need to do everything we can to give parents the ability to take their kids and find the best education.
I 100% agree with that.
So yeah,
And I 100% agree with pretty much everything you say. I love you, girl.
well,
But
thank
the thing is, you're not doing national news.
All right. Well, I appreciate the call, Linda. We'll work on that the next couple of
Love
days.
you.
Thank you.
I love you to death. Bye.
Thank you. All right. Terry on the phone line calling about teachers. Hey, Terry.
Hi. I have a big issue on when you sit there and say that teachers and classrooms. I'm a teacher. I don't do that.
Love you for it. And you know what? My mother, my godmother who raised me, she was a teacher, kindergarten and first grade, over 20 years. She didn't do it either. But we see it
But
too
see, when y'all
often.
say teachers and classrooms, you need to say some teachers and classrooms, because the teachers that are not doing it get the fallback from y'all just saying teachers and classrooms.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I appreciate the call. Terry,
Thank you.
and Terry, if you ever hear of teachers doing it in your school, feel free to call us and tell us.
Oh, I will put over this.
All right, you got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good point. There are great teachers. And I would dare say the majority of teachers are good. I reported on a teacher the other day in a grade school. And throughout the school day, while on campus, she was posting anti-ICE, anti-Trump, and all of this leftist stuff. You can't convince me that a teacher who even during the classroom can't resist the urge to do leftist propaganda, that's not spilling over into what they teach. And I've seen it myself. I've seen it in worksheets brought home. I saw it in a library book. Oh, you guys can imagine how that one went over. But I'm telling you, yes, the overwhelming majority of teachers are good. But this leftist propaganda, this indoctrination, there are a lot of conservative homes. It's not happening in the home. It's happening at the school. All these walkouts, these walkouts. Every time you see a walkout on campus where students are going out to protest ICE, that's an administrator failing. Because as an administrator, you should have control over your school, and you should have the ability to where those kids understand they're going to be disciplined. I told the story the other day of what happened in Alabaster, and it was with Thompson High School, and there was a group of kids that was planning to walk out in a protest, and then another group of kids, bless them, who have started a Turning Point USA chapter. Those kids decided to instead get together the morning of the walkout and pray. They prayed at the fountain. Then the school made it clear that if you participated in the walkout, if you left campus during school hours for an unapproved reason, there were going to be consequences. Very few kids did. I need to follow up and see if there was any disciplinary action taken or if that was an empty threat. But that's what should be happening on our campuses. We should have administrators who have control of the classrooms. I heard a firsthand experience from somebody in an educational setting who said was overheard teachers talking to students about ICE and promoting ICE walkouts. This happened in Alabama in a public school. This is happening, and I would love to believe that it's not happening as much as I believe it is. It's not happening as much as we hear it is, but I think it is. There are a lot of families where the parents, their values, they send their kids to school, and those kids are coming back with a left lean, and that's not just happening at lunchtime. That's happening even if it's not happening overtly. There's not people just in their classrooms. It's happening subtly, and we are seeing too much of it. If you look at, again, AEA is an affiliate of the NEA. NEA has resources galore on how you push a political ideology onto the kids in your classroom. NEA is one of the most leftist, progressive organizations in our nation. And their goal, who they're talking to, two things. One is their goal is to get incredibly crazy progressive elected. Okay. And we saw AEA, by the way, try to get Barbara Drummond elected down in Mobile. They can tell us they're a conservative organization all day long, and they do that. But then they try to elect the likes of Barbara Drummond. Anti-gun, anti-school choice. They throw boatloads of money for her. They're happy to be Republican when it suits them to be Republican because the Democrat can't get elected. But when it's a maybe seat, a seat that could go either way, the AEA right here in Alabama is trying to get Democrats elected, and it's ridiculous. All right, we'll take a call from Judy. Actually, we'll take a break, and then we'll take a call from Judy. You guys hold tight. April Marie here, filling in for Leland. Well, good evening, everyone. April Marie here. Man, this last hour just flew by. That happens sometimes. I get on a kick. Yes, I could talk national stuff for 4 hours. I love the state and local. I love the state and local, and I really do believe. I think it's incredibly important that we know what's going on nationally. I think it's incredibly important we keep up with it, especially the any foreign conflict, what's going on in just this administration, all that stuff. But I cannot stress enough: legislative session is 30 calendar days. Let it take some of your attention. I know it doesn't count for you if you're out of state and you don't necessarily care about Alabama legislative session, but let it take some of your attention. Municipal elections, same way. If you pay attention to those things, because the national, very important. But at the end of the day, each and every one of us should know who it is controlling our city budgets, who it is controlling our city planning and zoning, who it is educating our kids, all of those things. So important. As the Department of Education by the Trump administration rightfully and long overdue gets dismantled, we need to know what our state agency is doing and what our state options are for parents. Because at the end of the day, if Trump is successful and dismantles the overwhelming majority of the U.S. Department of Education, then what laws we have on the books here, what grades we get, what opportunities there are to family, those matter. All right, we got 2 callers on the line, and we probably got about 3 or 4 minutes, so we got to keep it really quick. Judy, what's going on?
You just stole my thunder.
Oh,
because
dang it.
I agree with you 100%. You're a good mama, and you care, and you always go for a deep dive. We can get national news on any channel, all through the night. I mean, we need local. Like you said, politics is local. What can we do with national news, okay? What can we do with the national politics? We need you.
Well,
And if I was hiring, I'd hire you. Okay.
Thank you. Very
Hey,
sweet.
I think 100%. I mean, I'm sorry it doesn't apply to her state, but it does apply to ours, and we need to know what's going on in these schools. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Enjoyed it.
That was a sweet call from Judy. I appreciate that. Dixter on the line. How's it going?
Oh man, I'm bowed up like a show dog.
What's got you fired up today?
Oh, just everything. You managing 7 and 5 year olds. I was the last of 6, and my brothers and sisters tell you I got away with murder when I was a kid, but I didn't because my parents figured out through them 2 years before I was ever going to do something. They learned from them. But if you got to train your kids. I used to have to get up every morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, me and my brother, and go out and fly the flag at the flagpole. My daddy was in the military, 30 years, And we'd come home, and that flag would be out there, and we'd try to slip in the house. My daddy'd be sitting on us on the way front porch making sure that we brought that flag, and he's woke us up a million nights. In 11:30, 12 o'clock, and said, you got to get out there and get that flag. And you'd wait till it was starting raining,
Oh, yeah.
And you learn, you got to teach them while they're young. Somebody told me that a kid's brain is mush until he gets to 8 years old, and that's where you got to work at them from 5 to 8 years old, get them trained. So that's how it was with me.
Well, that's incredibly important. I saw a study the other day, and I watched. It was actually a video of those formative years and how important it is for kids to hear words, literally, just to hear people talk. It's important for their brain growth and their development, and how important it is for them to stay off the screen and not get addicted to the dopamine hits of what you get on a YouTube channel or a video game, and how important it is for parents to instill values and start habits that you want your kids from those young ages to have throughout their life. And it sounds like that's what your family did.
Yeah, that's what we try. Sometimes it don't work, but you got to keep trying.
You absolutely got to keep trying. Well, thanks for calling, Dixter. I appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate y'all, and I'm glad to hear that you're going to be here the rest of the week.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, April Marie here. I am in fact here and all the way through Friday. I am with a mixture of state and local. And a lot of times, especially when you're talking about these legislative races, whether it be the U.S. Senate race, or we don't actually have any competitive legislative in the major listening area. Pretty much South Alabama is the only one with a really competitive race down there. But it's important to know what's happening. It's important to know what Steve Marshall's doing. I like tying everything, anchoring everything to our everyday, because it's so important that we realize that even us taking the time to call our local lawmakers is going to be the difference between terrible bills passing or great bills being ignored. And so take the time to find out who your lawmakers are. I told you yesterday how to do that on My Alabama Votes. You can go and you can put in your information. It's going to tell you every district you live in, from your state school board to your state board of education, House and Senate. You'll get all of your information there. That works for anybody living in the state of Alabama. And then you can make it a point to call those people. All right. You can find me on X at APRYLMARIE. And I'll be back again tomorrow. AJ, you got a big show coming up?
Yes, we're gonna be live. I know.
More than just you. You got you and Chubb Father.
And JD, I believe, is they're gonna join us, or will join me in doing the show. But we are getting ready to do our sandwich competition.
Ooh.
Yes.
Did yours come out?
Yeah, AJ on the radio.
Okay.
Yes, at Boyd in Birmingham. It is live and in charge. So go get it. Go check
get
it out. Yes.
All right. Stay out of trouble till tomorrow.
Yes.
Back again then.
Yes, and more of country music. I'm gonna have to freshen it up a little bit.
I might send you a list.
Yeah, I gotta do something. That 90s. Yeah. I don't know. But we'll see. All right. Stay tuned for Break Coming up next. Goodbye, AJ.